So phase 4 in the analysis of a salesperson towards a value proposition, you can't ignore the competition. Competition exists all the time, and competition, whilst we say it's healthy, we would prefer it not to be there. I mean, you have to accept, it's so much easier job if we didn't have any competition. But as we do, you have to take into account the types of competition you're going to come across and how you deal with them. Now, most salespeople I talk to, they're very good with what we would call a like competition, the usual suspects. After you've been in a particular sales role for 3 to 6 months, you know who all your competition is, who you're usually fighting against, who quite often you might even lose against. But that's just part of a salesman's life, is recognising that we have competition, they will be competing for our share of the pie. It happens. In your business, to being in the insurance brokerage, if we take your company as being A, your real competition then would become a regular set of engagement. You will see the same people time and time and again. And whilst we don't want to use their names, we just say we come across company X a lot and company Y. Now, that's interesting from a competitive point of view, and it's interesting from a sales analysis point of view. But what is really more interesting when it comes to this is not who, but what particularly are they competing with us against. I mean, you get company X. Company X might be larger, it might be more corporate in their background, and they may actually be more international in their engagement. Of course, you get company Y, now they may be smaller, and they may be more locally involved, and they may actually be more niche oriented in the businesses that they get involved with. And what we're looking for in all of these cases is, why are these people then considered competition to us? So it's not enough at times just to say we're up against company X and company Y and this is what they're offering. What we then need to do is you say, okay, so why are we considering them as competition? And this is where in this case you say, so why is it X versus us, who are A, and Y versus us, who are A? I'm not interested in why X and Y are competing or why they're involved in here. I'm interested in why these people are competing against us. What is it that these people have that the customer likes? And this is where it then comes down to the anti-champion. Who is it in the customer who is standing to gain from elements of the benefits that these people are offering here? So what I'm interested in, maybe it's this person who likes the locality of this organisation. But then, of course, there's another member of the DMU who actually likes another part of why. What he likes is he likes the internationalism of it. So what we start looking at here in a competitive analysis, which then starts pulling us back to the decision-making unit. Once we establish the decision-making unit, we can then start looking at the benefit case within the decision-making unit. Then ultimately, we'll be able to give individual, competitive value propositions for us. So what we then have is we can say, this is why we are competing against these people. Is that okay? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, whilst that's taken a few minutes to explain, this is usually the easiest one to understand from a sales perspective. The next one, which is a bit more difficult, is where we then say, if we've got the usual suspects, who else could we be competing against? Now, one of the key areas of competition that we do find is every one of your customers usually has another way of solving their problem. So if they've got a problem and they come to you and say, we would like insurance, or we would like consultancy, we would like a product to fulfill this problem, you'll find that they will have and be considering 2 or 3 other ways of solving that problem without coming to you. Maybe without coming to you or your alike competitors. So competition for the solution is usually key. And what I'm interested in here is, what particularly are they considering for this? Because what this then does, this actually then comes at a cost. And at this alternative cost here, what we're then looking for is, why is it this alternative solution versus us? Because we're still here providing them with, in this case, insurance. What are they looking to resolve this problem, which we think needs insuring, but they're going to do something else. And why would they consider that alternative? Equally, what you might find is, even if there isn't someone who's competing for the problem, there might be someone who is competing for the budget that's been allocated to solve this problem. And what you tend to find is, that this is governed by someone else in the organisation who is saying, I would like that money. So if they put aside £1,000 for this insurance activity, there might be someone else who's saying, I don't think we need that insurance. We can solve that problem in a different way. And I can use the money for something completely different. So what you find is that the competitive aspect here is usually governed by a person who wants to use the money, who will then champion an alternative solution so that you actually don't need to get paid. So they are competing against you by stealing your money. And then finally, what we're looking at is, if we've identified the alike competitors and unalike possibilities, the one that really stops more sales deals than anything else, certainly more than the competition, is the do nothing. And I'm just going to put a rider on it that says, do nothing today. Not do nothing forever or do nothing soon. If the people do nothing today, it means you have not won your deal. And if people do nothing today and stick their head in the sand, it might mean that your deal disappears altogether. So what I'm interested in is do nothing today. Now what this usually relates to is the compelling event. So again, we keep folding all of this back up into the knowledge we've had before about the decision-making unit, about the reason the person is making this change, about the time scale they're doing it, about the problems they want to solve, about the benefits they are looking to accrue, and the value proposition. So if we look here, doing nothing today is usually because there will be someone in the organisation who is saying, we don't need to do it yet. Let's not do it now. Let's think about it and do it, and let's make a decision later on. Or let's put it off and hope that we don't have to make a decision. Let's hope it disappears altogether. If we put off making a decision, maybe we won't have to. It can happen. I mean, as salespeople, we would try to make our benefit case for doing this position sooner rather than later. But in real life, things disappear. Problems go away. The world changes around us and new priorities come up. That's why do nothing today is a real and present problem for competitive activities.